Yo,
What's up? What's up?
what's
Happy
up, guys?
Friday.
Welcome back to
I can't
Operation
believe
Hustle.
we're already on episode 18. This is
Yeah,
insane.
18 deep.
Yeah, 18
We have
episodes.
a cool guest today, Justin Good, owner of Redline Design. They wrap cars, and what else do you guys do? I know you do a bunch of other shit, but mainly
Boats.
cars.
We do a whole bunch of stuff. Right now, we got a 42-foot long RV in the shop.
Let's go. That's pretty dope.
And
Yeah.
boats too, right?
Boats,
Yep,
RVs, slingshots, motorcycles.
I was just
Awesome.
going to say probably motorcycles too.
A few of them.
Are the motorcycles harder to wrap?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
can
intricate
imagine.
detail on those small little pieces.
Yep.
Oh,
It's gotta
yeah.
be pretty annoying. So welcome back to the podcast, everybody. It is Friday, 2 p.m. live. It's Liddy. We have another entrepreneur in the building. As we know, it is very hard to be an entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah.
I have a bunch of questions for this guy. I know he's very successful as what I can see. He's wrapped multiple vehicles of ours. And
done our
I feel like a
decals in
couple
our
people I know
studio,
too. Yeah, and he did the decals at the studio. That's right. Inside and outside, and it looks amazing. So they do awesome work. If you're local to the Tampa, Brandon area, you should check them out. If you're trying to get some like cool shit done on your car, or your motorcycle, or your boat,
Or your house.
your house, dude. Could you wrap
Nice.
like cabinets? Like, yeah, because I actually just heard something about that today. Like,
I
wrap
wouldn't
your
even,
shit.
Like, I literally just mind blown right now. Like,
Wrap
I didn't
everything.
even think about that. You could probably wrap your cabinets. That's sick. And they can look like whatever you want them to look like.
Yeah, so if your kitchen looks like trash, call this guy up. He'll wrap your shit and make it look brand new. You know, cover it up.
Yeah, we did some pretty sick decals. The most recent decal that we did in the gym, and I'm losing my voice. I'm so sorry. But it was like fake brick behind one of our machines with
Yeah,
a
it looks really
giant
dope.
gorilla, and it was supposed to be like spray paint looking type, graffiti on the brick. And I just had this idea that it would look really cool behind that machine, and perfect placement. Looks really cool.
Yeah, it looks awesome. Also, before we start the show, even though we started already, if you guys are interested in online training, we are doing a Black Friday special right now. Make sure you guys hit us up if you're lacking in the gym and you're not local to us. But if you're local, we're also running an in-person Black Friday special as well. Just make sure you check that out. Just figured I'd plug
So
that
do
in
you
there
wanna
real
start?
quick. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I have some questions for my man, Justin. My first question would be like, how did you get into this industry and why did you get into the industry?
Ooh. I don't know. A passion for cars. I love cars. I love art.
Nice.
I like all the different styles of art, from regular drawing and digital art, things like that. And then cars itself, the huge array of different type of vehicles that there are.
Yeah.
And this was an opportunity to be able to put art and drawing and creativity to, you basically get to almost vandalize a car practically.
Yeah.
You're putting stickers of whatever you want on top of a vehicle that's
For sure.
going to ride around, and it's something that's so cool because it's representing the person and what they're into and what they like.
Definitely.
And then you get to have fun and be creative and work on cool cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was like the first job that you ever did, like rap wise? And did you do it with like your mom's hair dryer? Did you have like the professional grade shit?
Probably the coolest thing, the first thing that we did that hit before I even had my company, and this is what kind of drove me into my business.
Yeah.
I ran into a neighborhood friend of mine growing up, who came to a shop I was working at, and he's like, "Hey, I want to do some design on my car," and he showed up, and this was before they have all the fancy stuff that's out now, and it was a little tricky trying to get it on, but it was a learning curve, and figured it out and put it on. And at that point, I was like, you know what, these car people out here are just as important and more important than some of these, making fun, fantastic luncheon signs and things for conferences and things like that. And being a car person and in the car world, it was an easy way to go. And again, you get to meet all kinds of different people, and on all different walks of life and different stories, and play with their cars.
For sure. Most everybody that I know has a car.
I thought of a few other like odd jobs you probably wouldn't think of that they do if you do own a business. So they did our decals, but they also did the decal that goes on the outside of the business, like the window. And so it's got that like mesh type like material. And so they did that on our old studio and our new studio, or our new gym. I hate to call it a studio because it's 2,500 square feet.
Yeah, that's right. It's a gym now.
Yeah, it's a gym. So in our new gym now, and then also if you have a business in a plaza where, there is a big sign of what's in the plaza. They also did our little sign there as well. It was just simple. It has just our name on there, but to be able to go to just one stop to be able to do a lot of the stuff that we needed for our business made things a lot easier during that whole process of building out and moving, because that can be so stressful. And then they also just recently added, when we did the decal in the gym of the brick, we did above our business where we
results
stand.
wall.
Yeah, the sign above it. So you see the door, but then you see above it. So that way people, because whenever we say 112 Pierce Christie Drive, people get confused going around the bend on which one that is. So it just kind of makes everything a lot more clear for the customers and the clients.
Yeah. What was that made out of? Do you know? Like I know you did it, or one of you guys.
It was acrylic.
Acrylic.
So you do
acrylic
signs.
Acrylic
too.
signs.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to
Yeah, and
figure
it's
out.
pretty big. I don't know. That one's like probably like 5 feet, something like that. It's definitely cool that the decal on it is like really dope. I don't know if it's like printed on there or if that is wrapped.
That was just a decal I think we put onto the acrylic. That way it lights up. Yeah, because that sign did light up, I think, right?
That one doesn't light up.
Oh, okay.
It's just like a big flat sign basically with our logo on it. But it is definitely cool. Looks really professional too. I have another question for you. Let's see. What is the hardest part about being a business owner in your opinion? Because there's a lot to it.
Wow. I guess the biggest thing is, it's hard with employees. It's hard with customers.
Yeah.
It's when do you have to be the boss? When do you have to stand up for yourself? When do you, when do you have to, unfortunately tell your customer bad news? When do you have to tell your employee bad news? Like,
for sure.
Those types of things I feel like are the hardest things to deal with. It's great when everything is just flowing and moving, and
for sure.
You get easy customers, you get employees that do what they're supposed to do, and everything is going. But then when the shit hits the fan, it doesn't
That's
matter.
the hardest part.
And again, it's a customer or it's a employee, and you've and how you have to handle each situation and make it all work correctly and make everybody happy,
For sure.
And also protect yourself and protect your other employees or other customers and that kind of deal.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think, and it's interesting you brought this up just because I think as you start off small and you grow, these are things you don't think about when you're small. And then like you said, it's just ebbing, it's flowing. And you're just like, continuing to expand, your team's growing. You're like, this is awesome. And then you have that first issue and you're like, all right, so yes, I want you to be able to laugh with me and have fun with me. And I'm going more on the employee level right now. But I also need you to understand that, I need you to respect me. And I need you to respect your other teammates, and that this doesn't work unless you do what is expected of you. And at the same time, I can still be, laugh with you, have fun, but you still need to know where the boundary lies. And I think that can be very hard as an entrepreneur, that never ran a team, and then you do, and then you're like, whoa, now what?
I mean, being a leader is tough. You have to make big decisions that other people don't want to make. That's why they're not leaders. You have to fire people. You have to
hire people is hard.
Hiring people. You have to make big money decisions. You have to make a lot of decisions that a lot of employees don't think of. Just back end shit, like all the stuff that you buy, all the things that go into basically just keeping the lights on in the building.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like a lot of employees, and even myself when I was an employee, I never thought of that.
Yep.
No.
And you take full advantage of everything in the building.
Well, the thing is too, is like the little things that you think when you're an employee versus when you become the boss. And then you look back on like when you had previous jobs and you're like, oh man, I was an ass.
Yep.
I don't think I really realized like how important like being 10 minutes late was, like, and how frustrating that is to, be a multiple offender of that. And I'm just giving an example, like, I know like when I was younger, we're talking, let's even talk like 16, 17, the very first jobs you have, like, again, you think it's like 1 minute, 2 minutes late is not that bad. Then it becomes a, pattern. And then 2 minutes late is no longer a big deal.
10,
now it's 5,
15.
now it's 10.
I'm
But
taking
the
the day
more
off,
that you,
bud.
right, right. But, and it's like, you realize that you're like, whoa, I finally understand what it feels like to be on the, receiving end of that. And, how you have to handle that, and how you have to give direction on like, hey, I need this behavior corrected. This is a problem, and it's been a problem, and those hard decisions can be hard because you create a relationship with your employee, and you have to put boundaries down. And then then it's like, okay, is there weird tension? Do they not see me as someone they can laugh with or joke with? Now I mean mommy, now I mean daddy.
Yeah, and it seems like you work on the floor with you guys like we do. We're in the trenches every day with them. So when there is a situation like that, it does get a little awkward, but it is what it is. It's business,
Of course,
that's how I look at it. So
no, it's one of those things. It's super hard because it's like let's just be honest and cut and dry. Obviously, we all want to come in here and we want to make money. And,
right. Of course.
It doesn't matter what business you go to. You're going to that business because you need their services.
Because it's
something.
A mutual benefiting relationship.
Whatever it might be. Right. And the fact that at the end of the day, let's concentrate on getting done what we need to get done. Yeah. And then, oh wow, we got an hour left in the day. Yeah. Okay. Now let's go play grab ass.
Now we can dick around.
Yeah. Now's the time to go like the stupid jokes and and get unfocused and let your guard down and relax for a little while and go have some fun.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. And they're two totally different industries where like, in our industry, it's like there is really no downtime unless you have an in-between time between clients, right? So everybody's with a client. So it's, that's too where like the industries are different, where like when you guys are done with work, and you have a little bit of downtime, you can do that stuff. It's hard. We never thought we would have a team. One trainer turn into another. Yep. And that's stuff that we have to deal with too. And it's hard because then you come home and it's hard to turn it off.
Exactly.
And I mean, I'm not sure because I don't think I've ever asked this question. Do you and your partner work together?
No.
Does she work? No. Okay.
Oh,
so,
no.
so it's like when we get home and then one of us is talking about work-related stuff, and it's like, okay, I need to disconnect. Like I need to not talk about this for 30 minutes, please.
No, that luckily that's one thing because that won't happen on our side. So it's the okay, what'd you do today? And it's that this sucked. Blah blah blah, whatever. You just get it out and we're done, and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah, because you guys are it's separate. So like when we go home, it's still like the same. It's like, oh, we're coming home to this. Great, another problem that we both are dealing with.
But you're still also connected, because of this.
Oh, for sure.
And you just got an email, you just got a text message. Whether it's I need a training, or how come today's meeting was complete garbage? Like what happened? You were supposed to have my back to, hey, it's 1:00 in the morning and you get a text about a $3 sticker. Yeah. Like, come on, there's like,
you know what I started doing actually? And I told Justin to start doing this too. I just recently started putting my phone in the kitchen and leaving it there once we enter the bedroom, because then I'll put my alarm on for what time I have to get up, with my schedule. And I'm sure you go in the same time, but we go in different times, because then I'm not tempted to look at it.
Yeah.
For one, it stops online shopping. For two, it stops mindlessness in the meta. And TikTok. And so I'm like, actually using brain cells, and like I'm engaged. I love to watch history documentaries, so I'm actually like engaged in what I'm watching, not scrolling and seeing every other skin. But then I'm not having to deal with any text messages, emails until the morning, because you need that disconnect. Like it's so hard, because otherwise your brain's just firing. And then you just get to a point where you're just drained and you feel like you're going to lose it, and you lose your tone or your temper with like an employee, because you've just built up.
And you're overwhelmed, and then you've hit that exploding point, and not in a good way at all. And you lose it.
Yeah.
Being an owner is not easy, but so another question for you would be, I have a bunch written down. What advice would you have for a new business owner, like just starting out? Like, what would you be like a solid piece of advice for someone that's afraid to start but wants to start?
Probably the biggest things is setting up some goals on what you're trying to shoot for, and actually, determine what direction you're trying to go. And obviously in, 3 to 5 years, those goals can change and they can reposition. I know a lot of like automotive shops and other friends that, they keep it strictly small. And then there's other guys that now have huge, massive buildings and, machines to fabricate custom parts. And, You know, it's how far down a rabbit hole do you want to tumble, and
For sure.
you know, figuring out which direction to go with it, and what, so you can concentrate on that.
Yeah.
And then also the other side of that is, you know, not spreading yourself so thin that you slack off in other areas, or you can't provide the customer service, or you can't keep up with you know, with the work that you have and those kinds of things, and you know, knowing when you need to delegate things, or you know.
I'm really glad you brought this up. And funny enough, like right as we were just talking, I had an employee calling for a sale. I'm like, dude, we're in the podcast. Anyways, Ollie, you know this. So I'm
Sorry,
really
it's a sale though, baby. That's what I like to see.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because it's something that I think that you, again, don't think about till you're in it. Like, especially if you never thought you were going to get there, you know, and like, we're in that part where we're like, so now what? And you almost get like addicted to the chaos.
Yeah.
Like you love it. You're like, oh my God, now, and you're like, I can't even read anymore, because it's just like that takes so much concentration.
Yeah.
Not that my attention span is gone. It's just like I'm so used to like multitasking and, you know, doing a million things at once, that now it's just like, okay, you feel this need to move forward. So I think that's a great piece of advice, because you really, I think, need to take the time to think about, do you want this to go big? Do you want it to be small? Are you okay with being small? And can you accept that being a small business and then just thriving in other areas of your life? Or do you want your whole life to be, you know, work oriented until you get us to a certain level and then pull back? But it's so hard, because I feel like once you start to see success like that, and then you make one move up, then you're like, I need to make there's like a pressure inside of yourself to continue to move up.
Oh, for sure. And, and also too, you're not even just business, but it's your personal life outside of your business. What are you looking to do for that? Do you want, are you having kids? Are you married? Are you single? Do you, you know, how that would dictate, you know, well, I want to be a part of my child's life, so I'm making sure I'm out at this time every day.
Yeah.
You know, I'm making sure I'm here every day to take care of a sick person or whatever. And will that allow you to be able to do what you want to do? It's not just focusing on your business side. It's also your everything else that's outside of there.
The massive balance.
I don't think we ever asked you, do you have kids?
No.
Okay. So, I mean, and that's, and I'm again really glad you're bringing these points up, and that somebody else that we're interviewing is talking about the things that we think about every day. And I think a big part of that is like, you know, you started off yourself and built like we did. But that's something we think about, is like, where do you fit a baby in that?
Yeah.
You know, and what would that look like? And, you know, I don't want my kid or kids, if you decide to have more than one, for us it'd be 2 max. I don't even know how that would work. But, you know, I don't want my kids to think that mommy and daddy never come home and have traditions or memories, and mommy and daddy are always at work, and when they're coming home, they're talking about work. And so it's like, I'm trying to learn how to disconnect from that now, so I can actually have a clear enough mind, have clarity enough to think about where that might fit. But it's hard, because like you said, you have to figure out how you want your actual life outside of work to go as well. And not a lot of people think about that. We didn't either. You just went right into it. And I think if we really thought about that going into this, it might be easier to think about, okay, and I guess easier to think about and accept where you're at and where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about that beforehand. So great piece of advice, because otherwise you're stuck in an emotional moment where you're like, I love the success, I love the chaos, and now what? I want to move forward. But another part of you is like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I think that's why setting goals is important though, and resetting them too. Like once you hit them, or even if you don't hit them, to always have a reset. There's a quote, and it goes, if you don't know where you're going in life, any path will take you there. So like without an actual goal and a specific time frame, like you're just going to be on a path to basically nowhere. And just kind of keep meandering around and wondering why.
Circling back around to probably things that you were at years ago.
And then you try to blame other shit. And really it's, you're not setting.
So I got a great question for you, because, you know, you and your partner are not working the business together. How does she deal with your stress outside of here? Is that something that she has a complaint about, like, oh, you're always stressed outside of work, or, oh, you're always tired? Or have you gotten to a point where you kind of like phase out of that?
That's kind of weird. I think at the end of the day, I mean, she has her stresses at home with, or at work. She works from home. But you know, you have your same drama, your same work BS that's going on. And, you know, just like I do, you do. You know, and it's more of a, okay, come home and and the question now isn't, it's really not even like, how was your day? It's more like, cool, what do you want to rant about for a minute to just unwind? Because again, you know, you're at work, you can't say certain things because either a customer's around or an employee's around, and then they hear something or they don't hear the whole thing or they hear parts of something, and then they're like, wait a minute, and then whisper and gossip. And obviously the more employees, the more people are around, the more that can go. But
drama fest,
you know, you get home and it's just cool, you unwind for a minute. Or, you know, I kind of have a peaceful place to just go sit in my backyard on a swing, and either I'll sit by myself or she'll sit back there, or, you know, and it's just it's a giant woosah time, and you just unwind and let it all go. And you know,
what does your day look like? Like, when do you start and when do you leave?
So get anywhere between 7:30. If I'm lucky, I'll leave at 5. But that never happens, and I'm usually out by 5:30 to 7.
And that's a long day.
And then still taking emails and shit at home and stuff like that, obviously.
Every now and then.
When needed. Which is crazy. I mean, that's kind of like our schedule.
Have you gotten to a point where somebody's running the social media for you, or are you running your own social media? Because that itself is a job. Like, I don't think people understand, like, who watch our social media and stuff. Like, they just think it's all fun and games, or, you know, friends or employees or clients think that, like, you just have all the time in the world. And it's like, for me to just keep the Instagram page going, it takes a lot out of me. I have to keep very content up, you know, and sometimes I try to post once a week or every other week, and it usually ends up being like every other week, but I keep the stories consistent because I know people love those stories and they watch those, the 3 to 5 second clips. But man, it's a job. And Justin had to pick up the Facebook because I just can't manage more than one platform. And then, you know, you got all these different platforms, and as a business owner, you're trying to evolve. And it becomes almost defeating in a way, because you're just like, I can't keep up.
It doesn't end.
It never ends.
And especially with the social media aspect. And then you want to go take it further. You know, even if you're running a free Yelp page, if you're running, you know, you got your Google set up, you have multiple email accounts that people are hitting you from, you know, or multiple levels of where people can get in contact you with. And, you know, once it reaches a certain level, it's, you know, to me, I found it was just easier to pay someone who could do that, as well as, you know, wear a couple other hats. And, you know, and that side of the things, it made things easier. So they're making videos, they're creating content and TikTok and whatever. And
for sure,
Google pages always got something going on, knowing when to run ads and what posts are doing. And the fact that person is also very well into it, going, hey, this week alone, we've gotten whatever.
They can put their focus on what they're good at, and you can focus on what you're good at. So you're outsourcing, like, something you might not be that great at, you can do great, but someone can do it better, and it's only going to make you more money in the long run.
That too.
So that's kind of like where we're sitting at. We're almost at the point where we're probably going to hire someone soon. I like making videos and I like doing the content, but it is a lot of extra work on top of, like, all the back end shit.
But then I'm like sitting here thinking, like, what does that look like? Do I take all the videos and then I send them to that person, or they're gonna have to be with me all day long? Like, I mean, what does that look like? Because the stories that I put up are usually, like, you know, just random stuff, boomerangs and selfies and clients and this and that. It's just like, you know, trying to figure out, again, if you do hire somebody to do this and wear a few different hats, like, what hats they're going to wear, and how, as a business owner, can you profit out of that, you know? And they got to be wearing enough hats where it makes sense when you pay them, you know what I mean? So it's just like, it's difficult. You're making all these decisions to keep up with these different platforms, and sometimes I wish it was just one platform, because it's a lot. Although I love that we can get marketing from different platforms.
I think one platform would be beneficial, but also you have a lot of opportunity to hit different platforms. So it's all free marketing in a sense. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, it is overwhelming, but it's definitely cool that we have all this shit, because back in the day you had radio, TV, and word of mouth pretty much. And that was it. And the phone book. The legendary yellow pages that do not, I don't know, do they exist? Does anyone still get those? Questions? Anybody?
I don't think so.
No?
Yes?
Yeah? Yo, we got, let's go. Wow, they still waste money on that. Just like everything else.
It's funny because when I had this talk with my dad about, like, just all these different like platforms. He was like, I remember like we used to get so stressed out. He's like, everything will work out. And he's like, you just need to remember this and, keep the faith when you start your business. Cause there'd be times where like, so my dad had a chimney cleaning business with my mom and they actually owned a business together when I was younger. And he turned our basement into a call center for my mom, stuck her away in the basement.
Amazon started in the garage. We started in the garage. They started in the basement.
So he's just like, we would pay like sometimes like, I forget, I want to say it was like 10 grand, right? I could be, over exaggerating here for like Yellow Page ads. And he was like, and then I'd be worried. I'm like, how am I going to pay the Yellow Page ad, make the money back from that? And, rent and this and that. And then he'd say, and then the last week, boom, we get like 10 jobs and I'd be making, 20 grand that month and it'd be fine. Or 30 grand and it'd be fine. Right. But, one of those things is with the business, you just always have to just try to stuff that little worry in the back of your head. And I think that's another thing too, for me, a piece of advice for those who are trying to start out. Like if you are a worrier, this may not be for you. Somebody who's a worry works.
It's not for everyone. That's for sure.
But that doesn't mean that people who have anxiety and worry can't do this. It just means you have to really have a strong partner that will help distract you.
Sure.
And you have to be able to like separate that and kind of shove it to that back file. Like everything will be okay. Yeah. Because if I don't keep trucking forward, it won't be.
Yeah. Don't ever quit would be a good piece of advice. And if you really like want it, you will do it. And when you fail, because you will fail, you have to keep going forward and getting up or else you will fail.
You have to fail. You have to fail. You have to run into a wall. You have to, I was having a conversation with someone the other day and it's like, if your life is so comfortable, so perfect, so this, so that, there's something else that's wrong somewhere else that you're missing 100%. Completely. And if you're not having a headache or an issue or a problem with something somewhere, like it's bound to happen at some point. So
because then you get people or friends or family that are judging you that are like, you don't have any work-life balance. It's like, okay, you have the comfort balance. Okay. You don't know if it wasn't this, it'd be something else. And like, I kind of hate when people do that. Like they portray that everything's perfect. Like, no, nothing's perfect. And I've had clients, ask things like about like, oh, how do you guys do it? How do you guys keep up your relationship? How is it so perfect? And I'm like, listen, it's nowhere near perfect, right? We're just normal human beings and we have arguments too. But, at the end of the day, it's about friendship and keeping that companionship and that communication. But also, again, the disconnect. And I think that for people out there that are wanting to start a business, that disconnect is just so important. You're hearing it from me, you're hearing it from Justin, you're hearing it from the other Justin. Like you need to have a woosah place where you can go and kind of just decompress and really just, again, put that stuff for the day in that back file of the head until the following day, and just remind yourself kind of like work, right? Like, okay, as if you were at somebody else's job, I got to clock out now. I got to clock this out of my head till tomorrow.
Yeah, it's hard. If God forbid the boss calls you when you're at home, you're gonna throw a fit. My boss called me.
And the funny thing is, when the employees or even like the clients, like if you ask them, like I'm serious, I'm gonna put this question out there, and it's a really honest truth. Would you like to get hit up at 12 o'clock at night? Would you like your boss to hit you up at 1 o'clock at night or in the morning? Like no. So I mean. We don't like to get those text messages either, and sometimes I think people forget when you're a small business owner, you're not a corporation, and you do give them access to be able to contact you in multiple different platforms or your cell phone number or just, your business line. And then before you know it, you're getting emails at 1 and you're like, what went through your head when you did this? What made you think this was appropriate?
And the same side to that too is the fact now I can get on my phone and I can order a case of beer right here, right now. I can get on Amazon and, something's going to, it'll appear.
Everybody wants instant.
And that's the other part that's really hurting everything. And then, the other side of it too is, and now is there are shortages with certain things and it's hard to get certain things, but, people walk into your business and go, what do you mean that's hard to get? Well, you just told me 2 days ago you had a shortage with something at your business.
Yeah, for sure.
We're in the same boat.
I'm sure you guys are dealing with that a lot. Luckily we have all of our equipment that we need. So we're a service industry where you're actually providing a product. And it's probably a pain in the ass.
Well, I'm also sure for you guys, wiping down your equipment. When alcohol and things like that were hard to come by
was spraying around gold in the gym.
You can ask him. The whole garage was filled. But I think the whole point of this conversation, and again, I think it was a really great conversation because it talked about the hard truths behind owning a business, that it's not all fun and games. do we all love what we do here? In agreement? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we do.
for
We all
sure.
love what we do.
I think that's the main
And-
factor, though,
right.
that will keep you
And
going.
we're not saying don't start a
when you
business.
fail.
We're just saying, hey, really think about where you want your life to be once you do, and learn how to disconnect, learn how to woosah now, because that's going to be very important in how you reset and how you, deal with high stress, high pressure situations. So, thank you, Justin, for coming on today with us. If you need any wraps, you want to make your house look cool, you have a business that you're trying to start and you want to just go to one-stop shop, Redline Design,
wrap
guys,
your car,
these are
wrap
the
your
place
bike.
to go.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, throw
Yep.
out the phone number, bro. What's the phone number over there, man? What you know?
813-315-8403.
There we go. Give them a call,
Give
guys.
them a call, guys. And where you can find us, as always, as on Instagram, absfitness_ Brandon, Florida. On Facebook, Abs Fitness LLC. Justin, tell them the TikTok and the
TikTok
YouTube.
is Abs Fitness Tampa, 813, something
Yep.
like that. Something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
And YouTube is Abs Fitness Film House. Guys, make sure you check us out. We are online training once again, and we have a Black Friday sale going on. Please hit us up if you're interested,
Yep.
and we will see you next
Peace
week.
out.